What's up, internet people? Today actually marks an occasion for something that I've wanted to talk about for a long time, but probably, I guess, can say I didn't have the courage to. Um, Today is actually the International Day of Persons with Disabilities, and the theme is not all disabilities are visible. As many of my friends and family will know, I have epilepsy. I was diagnosed at age 4, and I have dealt with that throughout my life. It's been 26 years now. Um, I just kind of want to talk about some of the ignorance and the barriers and the stigma that people with invisible illnesses and disabilities face. Sometimes it can be really hard on your overall health and especially your mental health, some of the things you face. Um, some of the things that I face personally that I'll talk about today, um, they're certainly not just something that I face, something that many people have faced, and of course there are many more. I'm just going to talk about the ones that I've dealt with. Um, I've been called lazy a lot because I've been in situations where I couldn't work. Um, in fact, people who have invisible disabilities or disabilities of any kind are probably some of the most industrious people you'll ever meet. Due to the fact that they have to navigate systems and be their own personal advocate, sometimes without any help, um, they have to have resiliency that probably other people don't. And other people just kind of really they take for granted the fact that they can do things that others can't. Um, a lot of people look at me and say, excuse me, you're happy and you laugh and you're joyful all the time. Well, there's a lot of times where I'm actually doing that so that I can hide the other stuff that's going on. There's a lot of stuff where I'm dealing with issues with my medication, or I'm dealing with issues how to finance my medication. Not all of that stuff is easy. And a lot of the times it requires calling government agencies, it requires navigating through health systems, it requires a lot of energy that if I'm dealing with my epilepsy or I have like a flare up of some sort, I actually don't have the energy to do. So it requires me to grasp every little seed of energy that I have and put it to getting the proper care for myself. And I think that is something that a lot of people who have disabilities or invisible disabilities deal with all the time. So for them to be called lazy is actually a completely ignorant statement. And something else, having an invisible disability can be a big barrier to work. I actually had to give up a profession that I was in love with. I went into the cooking profession because from the age of, 2 or 3, I was sitting on the stool next to my grandmother cooking, and I loved it. And then when I went into the profession, what happened was I began to get fired time after time for ignorant, assumptions as to why I wasn't coming into work. And some of the assumptions were that I was drunk, that I was on drugs, on and on. And those were very hurtful because at the time, all I was trying to do was try my best, make something of myself, and, become a proper, active member of society. And that was something that I really had to deal with, and it was very hard on my mental health because all I was trying to do is make my family proud. And in the end, my stubbornness made me deal with that for much longer than I probably should have. And then I finally came back home to get the surgery to help with my epilepsy. And even after that, I still tried to keep the fact that I had epilepsy a secret. Um, I remember after my surgery, I went to get my hair cut for the first time, and the person who was cutting my hair, I said, cut it short all around here and leave it long on top. And she said, "Are you sure? Your scars are going to show. You don't want that to happen." And I'm like, "No, just go for it." And finally, I was able to accept what I call my battle scars. And, I have a scar that goes from here all the way across and down to my other ear. And I've accepted that, and if people question me or ask me about it, I'll tell them. But that was a long time coming for me, because a lot of the time I try and keep it secret, because for so long it was a barrier for me to get work. Um, those are just a couple of things that people with invisible illnesses or disabilities face. You feel like a fake when you're accessing resources that are for people with disabilities. Sometimes due to the fact that medications are extremely expensive. You have to end up accessing things like income assistance, even when you are working, if you don't have a drug plan. Some epilepsy medications can cost up to $500 each. So, doing that per month, even the paycheck you bring home, you wouldn't have enough money to live on. So that is another stigma then added on top of everything else. And I think the reason why I'm making this video today is to tell people that you're not alone. There is a lot of people out there who face this issue. When you go online and you search out the numbers of people with invisible illnesses or disabilities in Canada, there aren't the proper reporting numbers out there, so you can't get specific stats. But I think it is up to all of us to basically come out and say, you know what, you aren't alone. And for every person who's out there and is feeling alone, just know that there are other people that are going through the same thing as you, and know that there are people who understand, and that through this education, I think that more and more people will understand. So your invisible disability is valid, and it shouldn't be just valid to you, it should be valid to everyone.